Hello everyone. This is Dr. R. Sasikumar, Professor, Computer Science and Engineering Department from RMD Engineering College. Today we are going to discuss about electronic mail. Already the previous video we have discussed about SMTP protocol, and in this video we are going to discuss about two protocols, electronic mail protocols. One is the IMAP and another one is the POP3 protocol. So first we will see that IMAP protocol. IMAP is nothing but what? Internet Message Access Protocol. So the right hand side, this is the architecture of IMAP protocol. It is a client server protocol running over TCP, where the client running on the user desktop machine issues a command in the form of CRLF, that is a terminated ASCII test client. So what is the meaning? Means what? The client has to send a message to the server. Okay. First, it should ensure that whether the connection is established or not, whether the client and the server has to be connected or not. If both the connections are in live condition, that is a connection establishment. Then the control will move on to that server greeting. Yes, the client is attached with the server, and the server will ensure that whether the client is a authorized user or not. So that is the first step is what? Connection without pre-authentication. So it will move on to that. It will check whether that the given attached user is authenticated user or not authenticated user. If it is not authenticated, then the server will give reply to that client. So you are not authorized user. Suppose if it is an authenticated user, then step 2 will move on to that authentication section directly. Okay. So this is what step 2, right? Now the cursor control will move on to authentication if it is authorized user. The first step is what? It will check whether that user is authenticated or not authenticated. If not authenticated, the server asks the client to give the authentication message. If it is authenticated client means what? Then the control will move on to authentication section. Suppose if the third step is what? If it is intruder, then automatically the connection will be rejected. So that is the third step. If it is not authenticated and the client is not interested to make an authentication message, means what? That is the intruder. So automatically the server disconnect that connection. It will move on to logout section. Okay. And fourth step, suppose if user is not authenticated, it will move on to that authentication section. Once it is authenticated, then the control will be transferred to authentication section. Okay. And the fifth step, so once the server recognize that the given client attached user is authenticated, then it will move on to that select. It is going to receive the message from that attached client. So selected, again it will repeat. So the keep on the client has to send the message to that server. So once the message has been transferred, and hereafter both the client and server wants to close the connection. Okay. Now the connection will be terminated. So this is what the seventh step is, always indicates that what terminated. If it is authenticated user but no data message, so it is also going to that logout session. If not authenticated, directly move on to that logout session. Okay. Once the logout is terminated, means what? Both side sender and receiver will be connection will be closed. So sender is nothing but what? Client, and the receiver is nothing but what? Server. Okay. The next one, we move on to that another protocol. There is a post office protocol. So POP is a simple and limited its functionality. The current version is POP3 protocol. The earlier version POP2. But POP2, it requires that SMTP message to send client to server. But the POP3 protocol, without SMTP, you can send a message from client to server also. And the POP client is installed on the recipient computer and POP server all on the mail server. So client open a connection to the server using TCP. The well-known port is what? 110. And the client send a username and password to access a mailbox and to retrieve a message. That username and password is nothing but what? Authentication. So the user can retrieve a mail message one by one once the client is authorized. It is intended to permit a workstation to dynamically access a mail drop to a server. So mail delivery, there are 3 stages for mail delivery between the sending user agent and the receiving agent. The first step, mail is sent from the user agent to the local server. The second step, the mail goes from the local server to remote server. And third step, user agent gets the mail from a remote server using the protocols like POP3. So why it is called a post office protocol means what? Suppose if you want to post a letter to your family member or friend, simply you put a letter into that post box. That is a step 1. And the respective postman will collect the letter from that post box. Then immediately that postman will move on to the nearby post office. That is a step 2. So the mail goes from local server to remote server. In that post office, wherever the letter wants to dispatch, the area wise the letter will be segregated, and that will be dispatched to the respective head office, to the respective places also. That is a third step. The user gets the mail from the remote server using the protocol like POP3. So that's why it is called what post office protocol. So what is happening in that government post office or courier section, the same thing will be happened in that protocol, POP3 protocol. That's why it is also called what post office protocol. It has a 2 mode. One is a delete mode, another one is a keep mode. In delete mode, suppose if you don't want that retain that mail in that mailbox after retrieval, you can delete that mail. Keep mode is nothing but what? If you want to retain that the mail for a certain period of time, yes, it is possible. That is called what? Keep mode. So later you can retrieve that mail also. And the next one is what? POP3 commands. Here we have the first command is what? User. There is a username. The second command is what? PASS. There is a password. And the third one is called what? A quit to log off that POP3 conversion. And fourth one is what? STAT displays the number of messages currently in the mailbox. And the fifth one is a list to get a summary of the message. And sixth one is a RETR, that is a retrieve a particular message. And the seventh one is a DELE, there is a to delete a message. Eighth one is a NOOP, there is a no operation. The ninth one is a RSET, that is a reset the session. So this is the architecture of POP3 protocol. The left hand side is what? A POP server, and right hand side is a POP client. So the client has to attach with the server. Okay. First the client will be initiated username. So the server will check whether that username is authorized or not. If it is authorized, then the server will give the reply to the client. Okay. Then the server will ask that password. So the user has to type that password also, and server will verify that password is authenticated or not. If it is authenticated, then it will give reply to that client. Okay. Then after that, that is the first command and second command, user and pass. Then after that, the client send a continuous message with the help of the command is a list. So the client list is nothing but what? It will send a continuous message. And based on that message, the server will give the reply. There is a email numbers and their sizes also. This is the way to send a message from client to server continuously. Okay, once the client has sent all the messages to the server, then the client wants to terminate the connection. There is a command, the name is what? Quit. So to log off from the connection. Okay. So then the server will reply the command to the client, yes, you can terminate your connection. So after typing the quit, then both will be terminated. So what is the advantage of IMAP over POP? In this video, we have discussed 2 concepts. One is IMAP protocol, another one is a POP3 protocol. So IMAP is nothing but what? Internet Message Access Protocol. POP protocol is nothing but what? A post office protocol, the version number 3. So IMAP is more powerful and more complex than POP protocol. User can check the email header prior to downloading, and user can search email from a specific string of character prior to downloading. User can download partially, very useful in case of limited bandwidth. User can create, delete, or rename mailboxes on the mail server. These are the advantages of IMAP over POP3 protocol. I hope you understand that today's video, POP3 protocol and the IMAP protocol. Thank you.